I'm Lesley from So Good Kombucha, and today we're going to make kimchi. This is basically the best because it is the easiest, and therefore it is clearly the best kimchi recipe you are ever going to find on the internet. So the reason why this is basically the easiest and therefore the best kimchi recipes you're going to find out there is because you can basically make it anywhere. So I live in Derby, England. It's not exactly the biggest city in the UK, but there's one Chinese supermarket, and it's got all the basic things, and that's basically all you're gonna need to make this really, really amazing, delicious kimchi recipe and save yourself a ton of money. So what you need is Napa cabbage or Chinese cabbage, or if you really can't find this anywhere where you live, just go with like a normal green cabbage. It'll work as well. But I love this kind of cabbage. I think it's the best. This is the one if you can find it. You can also do this recipe with other things like other greens, pak choy, radish, anything else really that you want to ferment. The other thing that you're going to need at the first stage of this recipe is salt. So it looks like quite a bit of salt, but don't worry, you're not going to actually ingest all of it. It's really just to prepare the cabbage for fermentation. The other stuff that you're going to need includes this red pepper powder. So if you can find something like this, like a Korean red pepper powder, that's probably going to be the best, but otherwise any other kind of red pepper powder will be fine. So my favorite is this Squid brand fish sauce. You should be able to find this in your local Chinese supermarket or any other kind of fish sauce will do really. I just like this one because I'm used to using this. The other thing you're going to need are green onions or spring onions. I don't know what I call them. Carrots and radish if you got some. And again, anything else in the garden that you think would be nice to ferment, you can put that into the kimchi as well. Let's get started. Right, so the cabbage has been washed. What I'm gonna do now is just to cut them into strips, and then we're gonna salt them in between and put a bit of water in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. So now that I have sliced up all the cabbage into strips, I mean it doesn't really matter really. They're just, imagine yourself eating kimchi and what bite size they should be. So it just, anything like this is fine. I'm gonna go ahead, put it in the container and just salt it. It's important to get as much covered as we can, and we're gonna add a bit of water in it, so it doesn't matter if you don't cover everything. I poured a little bit too much salt in the container, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to rinse it out anyway. So what you should do is, if there's already moisture in the cabbage because I didn't strain it that much after I washed it, but just ensure that there's like about a cup or a little bit more or less. And I'm just gonna mix the rest of the salt in. Right, so it's been half an hour, and I'm looking at the cabbage now, and it's shrunk significantly, and there's quite a bit of water. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to rinse this out to try to get as much of the salt out as possible. You really kind of want to do is to be able to remove as much of the moisture in the water as possible. So I didn't have a lot of time, so I just kind of squeezed it and just tried to just try to get all the moisture out. But if it's really sunny outside, sometimes I just leave it out in the sun for a little bit. Right, so the recipe on how to make the kimchi paste is going to be in the blog with the link below. What I've done in order to save a little bit of time is to mix the paste ahead of time, so you don't have to watch me do this. Just to let you guys know that when the cabbage is done, you will try to squeeze as much of the moisture out as much as possible, because we're going to basically be mixing the paste along with the cabbage, and all that water is really just going to make it a bit, I don't know, you don't need a lot of moisture in it, so there's enough water already in the paste. So okay, so the list of ingredients on how to make the kimchi paste is going to be in the link below. In order to save us a little bit of time, I made this already in advance. Here's a little speeded up clip of me making it. Alright, so at this point you should really be able to smell the garlic, pepper, and fish sauce. It's going to be pretty strong. Don't worry, it's all good. Right, and really the next step of what we're going to do, and you have to just use your hands, there's no other way around it, is what I like to do is actually grab a little bit of cabbage in one hand. Again, try to squeeze out some of the moisture while you're doing it. If I have a bit more time, I would have dried it completely, but I'm kind of I couldn't be bothered. And with the other hand, you just sort of like mix it together. I probably should have used a bigger bowl. I would recommend you doing that. The paste is falling out. But yeah, just to start with, I just put a little bit of cabbage in. Make sure you mix it up really good with the paste. And then we put it into the glass jar. Right, so I have stuffed the heck out of this jar. As you can see, there's still quite a bit of air space. Ideally, what you want to do is to pick a jar and you really should be completely filling it so it doesn't have too much room for oxygen. So what I did instead was I pressed it down, and I'm probably going to get a bit more cabbage just to stuff the top of it to make sure that there's no air at the top. But once you've done that, you can just basically close it and leave it to ferment for 1 or 2 days in room temperature before putting it into the fridge. The thing I love about this recipe is you can pretty much eat it right away. It tastes really, really good, even fresh, and it tastes even better after it's been fermenting. So after a couple of days, put it in the fridge and just eat it until it's gone. Shouldn't take too long. Right, okay, so That's it for kimchi recipe. It'd be great if you try it out and take a photo of what you've done and let me know if it's any good. Okay, thanks. Bye.